What if you're not breaking, but carrying more than anyone sees? So we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. 2 Corinthians 4:16, 18. There are days when tiredness shows up before intention does, before you decide anything, before you even remember what today is supposed to be about. Your eyes open, the room looks familiar, the ceiling hasn't changed, and yet something inside you already feels behind, not because you failed overnight, not because you did something wrong, but because whatever you've been carrying never really left you. Sleep happened, but rest didn't. Morning arrived, but relief didn't follow. You move through the first minutes of the day on memory instead of energy, doing what you've done so many times before that your body remembers the steps, even when your spirit doesn't feel present inside them. You still function. You still answer messages. You still show up where people expect you to be. You still handle responsibilities that don't pause just because you feel thin inside. From the outside, nothing looks broken. From the outside, you look capable, steady, dependable. But inside, something feels stretched beyond what it was meant to hold. Not snapped, not collapsed, just quietly worn like fabric that has been pulled and pulled without ever being laid flat again. This kind of exhaustion is hard to explain. It doesn't come with a single story. There's no dramatic moment you can point to and say, this is when everything changed. Instead, it accumulates, it settles, it lives in the background of your thoughts, and colors everything just slightly darker than it used to be. You hesitate to talk about it because nothing sounds bad enough. You tell yourself you should be grateful. Other people have it worse. Nothing catastrophic happened, and yet you feel heavier than you remember feeling before. Paul writes to people who understand this kind of weight, not to new believers filled with momentum, but to people who have been faithful for a long time, people who have endured quietly, people who kept choosing obedience even when joy didn't show up with it, people who didn't walk away, but also didn't feel strong anymore. So we do not lose heart, he says. Not because the pressure stopped, not because life softened, but because he learned how to interpret what was happening inside himself without turning it into shame. Though our outer self is wasting away, Paul doesn't rush past that sentence. He doesn't correct it. He doesn't dress it up. He lets it stand as truth. There is erosion. There is wear. There is cost to carrying life in a broken world for a long time. There is fatigue that comes not from one hard season, but from many ordinary days stacked on top of each other without enough space to breathe in between. Some of you feel that erosion now, not as a crisis, but as a steady thinning. Your patience doesn't stretch as far. Your emotional recovery takes longer. Small disappointments linger heavier than they used to, and part of what scares you is that you don't recognize yourself in this state. You remember being more resilient, more hopeful, more able to carry things without feeling this inward drag. And you wonder if something in you is breaking. But Paul doesn't call it breaking, he calls it wasting away, which means he expects it, which means it doesn't surprise God. And then he says something that changes how the weight can be held. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. Not quickly, not dramatically, not in a way you can chart or celebrate, day by day. This renewal doesn't remove the load. It happens underneath it. It doesn't change the scenery, it changes the depth of the one standing in it. Most people are waiting for circumstances to improve before they allow themselves to feel okay again. But Paul is describing something quieter and more stubborn, a strengthening that occurs even while life remains heavy. Right now, many people in America are living in this exact tension. Life didn't collapse, it just never slowed down. Pressure became constant, noise became normal, uncertainty became background music, and the emotional cost of just continuing started to outweigh the satisfaction of doing so. People are tired of adjusting, tired of recalibrating, tired of being told they're resilient when what they actually feel is worn thin, tired of carrying responsibility with no clear finish line, tired of needing to be strong in spaces where weakness isn't welcome. If that's you, hear this without decoration. Your exhaustion is not a moral failure. It is not a lack of faith. It is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is evidence that you have been carrying weight for longer than anyone notices. Paul continues, "For this light momentary affliction," light does not mean painless. Momentary does not mean short. It means limited. Limited in comparison to what it is forming inside you, is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory. Notice the reversal. You feel weighed down now. But Paul says another weight is being shaped, not one that crushes, one that anchors. Glory here is not applause or reward. It is substance, density, a steadiness of soul that doesn't disappear when circumstances shift. A depth that allows you to remain standing even when nothing around you feels secure. The weight you feel right now is not meaningless. It is not wasted effort. It is forming something in you that comfort never could. And God is not standing at the end of this process waiting for you to arrive. He's not watching from a distance, arms crossed, evaluating your performance. He is present inside the wearing down, closing the fatigue, nearing the moment you admit you don't have much left to give. Paul says the shift comes not from what you carry, but from where you look. We look not to the things that are seen, because what you see right now may only confirm the heaviness, bills that don't stop, deadlines that reset every morning, a body that recovers more slowly than it used to, a heart that feels guarded even around people you love, a future that feels fragile instead of exciting, but to the things that are unseen. This is not denial, it is orientation. It is refusing to let visible pressure be the final authority over invisible reality. God is working in places you cannot measure yet. In patience you didn't ask for. In endurance you didn't want to learn. In compassion that came from carrying pain, not avoiding it. In a steadiness that only forms when escape is not an option. You may feel like you are deteriorating, but something else is quietly being renewed. Tonight, you don't need answers. You don't need a plan. You don't need to turn this into growth. You need permission to stop interpreting tiredness as defeat, to stop demanding strength from places that are already giving everything they have, to let God stand beside you without fixing anything yet. So stay here a little longer than you normally would. Don't rush to meaning. Don't force hope. Just let the weight be acknowledged and shared. If all you can do tonight is breathe and remain where you are, that is not failure. That is enough. You are not losing heart. You are being carried through something that is shaping you deeper than you can see right now. And God is not waiting for you to feel strong again before He stays close. He is already here, especially here. Amen.